All right, the next exercise we're going with right now, we're gonna have a fully kettlebell 3 exercise warm-up set. And so what are we gonna include? We're gonna include some of the staple kettlebell exercises. We're going to include a swing, a get up, and a carry. And so we're gonna start with the swing. And so let's take a moment, think about how we set up for a swing. We wanna be behind our kettlebell. Yeah, feet just a little bit wider than shoulder width perhaps. And we're gonna make sure, before we get in, make sure we kinda activate the core a little bit. We're using our glutes, just make sure they're on and active. We've been sitting all day, maybe we're not quite ready to pick up something heavy. We want them to be ready to receive impacts. Holding this core position, I usually teach people to just hold, especially when you're learning this movement, to hold a little tension to make sure you're not dropping into extension as you come in. Stay right here. We're just gonna reach down and grab the bell with 2 hands right here. So from here, the first movement is not gonna be down, it's gonna be back in between the legs. We wanna keep our knees at roughly the same angle the whole time because this is a hinge. This is not a squat. When we try to turn it into a squat, it becomes a different exercise and it's actually more dangerous for your back. You want the direction, the focus of movement to be horizontal and not vertical. From here, fire it between your legs and swing it up. Again, firing it down and back is going to be your friend to creating a very natural movement pattern out of this, creating a stretch reflex, creating a hinge that increases your mobility instead of putting stress on your spine. Rohan, keep going for a couple more. I'll go into a couple key points here, making sure as we come up, again, we don't want to extend the knees quite as much. We want to, keep them bent the whole time. Yeah, there you go. So you really have to drive through the hips before the knee extends. That's a key point for human performance, not only health. If you watch an Olympic sprinter come out of the blocks in the 100-meter finals, you're going to see that they extend their hips before they extend their knees. That's a key point. So we really want to keep, I'll demonstrate this one because it actually is really tricky and it really takes some discipline. So sometimes I will teach this by just putting like a little hurdle or some sort of object in front of me so that I'm not going to be tempted to extend my knees. I really want to stay in this zone right here, and that's going to take a lot of pressure off my back because it's going to keep it a pure hinge and keep the motion in my hips. A lot of you guys are going to try to turn this into a squat and turn this into a vertical motion. That's not what a swing should be. We really want to keep touching my, yeah, there you go. And then from there, swing, fire it down and back, fire it down and back, and then, yeah, exactly, keep the knees slightly forward. There you go, that's a whole different movement. Fire it down and back, get more range of motion going back. There you go. Wonderful. That is looking like a whole different thing. Take a breather. That's a good demo.
My hips are on fire.
Exactly. That's what you want. That's what we're looking for.
Holy cow.
The third exercise, and this gives you a moment to breathe. Sorry, the second exercise, and this gives you a moment to breathe before you get into the get-ups, is you're just gonna take your bell, and very simply, I'll give you one because I think you want a bigger weight usually than the other one in one hand. And this is just a simple suitcase carry. There's not a lot we're gonna say about this. Keep a nice up posture here, excuse me. And we're going to make sure, again, we're not falling into a big extension pattern in the back. We're keeping relatively neutral spine so the core can stay active. And just take a few steps here. Just go for a little walk. I'll move things you're gonna trip on and come right on back when you're ready. 20, I mean, if you don't have a timer on, like 20 to 40 yards is usually a nice one. So if you have that little turf patch in your gym, that's really clutch. If you only have a room like this, where we probably have about 10 meters, maybe a little bit less right here, this is also a nice way. We could switch just for demo purposes right now. Again, you can do a minute on each side or 30 seconds if you want to go for time as well. Yeah, and you want to really make sure we're drawing down. This looks pretty good. You're going to feel this on this side of the abdomen. You're going to feel the rib cage, these intercostal muscles and the obliques really turn on, as well as some of the hip stabilizers. And yeah, you can go heavy on this one. I don't think it's, for most folks, I feel that it's a little bit safer to go heavy on this than some other exercises. So let's come on back and we'll put the bell down. I usually like to teach get-ups from a unweighted position. And so what do I mean by that? We're just going to be on our back. What is a get-up? We're going to be on our backs here. And so what are some of the key checkpoints in this movement? So we're going to have as if one hand is up right here, as if my right hand has the bell. we need to be able to have this knee up the same side as the bell knee is going to be up in the air. We're going to just roll onto this to start, pressing up onto the hand. We're going to raise our hips in the air, again, not extending, overextending, keeping a strong core, keeping a little tension in the abdomen. Obviously, your glutes are going to be working. You're going to step through with this leg, and then you're going to get your balance, looking up the whole time, remembering you have a big weight above your head. That's important. And then you're going to step up. And so that can be useful to start to practice this movement, is just going through it with body weight. So let's go through some of the steps.
Sure. 1 second.
Yeah, let's put this one right here.
Right arm up, right?
Yeah, right arm, right knee.
Okay.
Right on. So right arm up, right knee up. We're going to roll onto the left side, basically onto the left hip, driving up through the shoulder. This is working the back side of the shoulder rotator cuff. From here, we want to maintain our focus looking up at the hand. It's easier when there's a bell. And then we're going to just lift our hips up off the ground, nice and high. Good, good, good. In a straight line. And we're going to put all the weight on the right leg. And we're going to bring the left leg down, knee down, underneath the body. Great. Then from there, you're going to raise up, get your balance, and then just stand up to finish the movement. Very nice. To come down, you can do the exact opposite. Bring the knee down. Exactly. Put the hand down on a diagonal behind you. Get your hips up as you really press through the right glute, using the core. Exactly. Put your bum on the ground slowly. Good. And then we are going to drop back. And so that is a get up. You can tell that a lot of the get up takes a lot longer than the average exercise. And so we might switch arms after each repetition. A lot of you, even though we could start to use a bell quite quickly, a lot of you will have quite a bit of benefit just by doing this with your own body weight, especially longer limbed individuals, because the bridge position will actually be quite taxing and a great core exercise in this very 360-degree plane of motion. So you can play around with that, because it's those 3 exercises. You're getting core on all sides of your body. You're getting a huge hinge pattern, which is something that most people have big problems with, especially when they work in sitting all day, is their glutes start to not really drive movements. They try to shift that motion to some other part of their body. And you're always slightly imbalanced because of the kettlebell, especially on the one-armed variations, the suitcase carry and the get-up. So we're working things that typical lifts maybe aren't getting on a regular basis. And so that's a really wonderful way to ensure that we have some movement diversity, even just from the warm-up. So if we just work with a barbell, work with some very traditional lifts the rest of the workout, we really got a whole bunch of injury prevention through a lot of strength right at the beginning.